Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Thanks for stopping by to watch my life flash before your eyes or something. This is basically my take on a Draw My Life, with my own dumb twist since I can't conform to anything. So anyways, I guess I should start with when I was first conceived. So I was born in Chicago, Illinois, and Chicago's pretty cool, at least I think so. It's like the Windy City or something. I don't know, but my infantile mind wasn't really developed enough at the time to really process anything, so at least I think Chicago was cool. And we only lived there for about a year until we moved to Bel Air, Michigan, which is northern Michigan. It's pretty close to the top there, Oh, and I have parents, believe it or not. My parents are pretty sweet. My dad's name is Vincent. He goes by Vince, though. He's the real reason for discipline in my life. Don't get me wrong, he's not a hard ass or anything, but he set the ground rules for me and bossed me around sometimes, for my own good, of course. But he's a cool guy. He's pretty laid back, down to earth. He's a wise man. As a wise man once said, he's a wise man. And we have our disagreements every now and then, but other than that, we agree on a lot of things about life and whatnot, philosophical stuff and that sort of thing. My mom, on the other hand, is really derpy. So she's part of the reason why I can be so annoying sometimes to people. And man, don't shake your head. No, you're not annoying. Man, I know. Yeah, but I can be annoying sometimes, and I blame it on her. She's basically pushed my sense of humor in the right direction, unless you think I suck, in which case you could say she pushed it in the worst direction possible. But either way, I love her and her antics, and she likes zombies a lot too, so that's really cool. She's actually kind of made me like zombies. But anyways, that's one of her huge freak interests. And my third parent is my best friend Cody, and he's not actually my parent. He's just my best friend, but he's like my parent because, alright, this is getting weird. So I've got this best friend named Cody, and he's a family friend. I've known him all my life. My mom and his mom were best friends when they were our age, so that's how we know each other, and he's basically been around my whole life. Him and I have always been best friends. Unfortunately, we're kind of far apart right now, so we can't see each other all the time, but we visit each other every now and then for about a week at a time. But Cody's a real cool guy. Like I said, I've known him all my life, and we have the same sense of humor. We both love video games. We've always been really, really close. And he's been a huge influence on my life. And it really is a shame that I don't get to see him as often as I used to. So shout out to Cody. I love you, man. And alright, so back to my infancy. Parents, check. So we lived in Bel Air, Michigan, and that's about 4 hours away from Detroit. So don't expect this to be anything like 8 Mile. Yeah, so it's pretty peaceful, kind of small town. From what I've been told, the only real memorable thing about my infancy is where this one thing happened. And let me explain that thing. So I'm a baby and whatnot, right? I was probably about, if I had to guess, I'd say 1 or 2. I'm waddling around like, babies do, and my parents are out on the porch grilling burgers or hot dogs or something, whatever you grill on a grill. My parents must have left the grill unattended or something, because so I come waddling out onto the back porch and I slam both my arms on this jerk of a grilling machine, right? And I scream out, "Ah!" My parents hear my shriek, right? So they come rushing over. They see me and they're like, "Ah!" And I'm medium rare at this point, right? So my parents come pull my succulent arm off this grill guy. My skin's probably all wet and sick into the grill and stuff. And when they finally pull me off this damn thing, they eat me. No, I'm just kidding. We all got in the car and we started driving to the emergency room, because that would be the natural thing to do when your child is. I'm in the back seat. I'm all wrapped up in this blanket because I'm sure my arms aren't hot enough already. My dad's flying, man. Like we're over here breaking the sound barrier, and of course the cop comes slithering behind us, right? And he's so we stop, and this police officer comes over to the window, and he's pissed. He is pissed. He's all, "Yeah, you're going too fast. Here's your ticket," and whatnot. So My parents don't say a word. They just reach to the back seat and take off that little blankie I got on, and I'm just like, ah. And my parents are like, ah. And at this point, even the cop looks at me and he's like, ah. So, you know, he sticks his ticket where he should have in the first place, right? And he just escorts us to the hospital, and I get some cast or something, and that's pretty much it, you know. No scars. Alright, thanks for watching. I guess that's my infancy in a nutshell. I mean, I don't really have much else to tell about my baby life, other than the fact that I was bald. I was a bald baby. I was told that old men used to walk up to me and pat my head and say, I feel your pain. And, you know, I didn't know what it meant, but if I could be in my baby head, I'd just be like, well, yeah. Well, at least I'm growing some soon. So fast forward, right? I start growing up a little bit. You know, I start growing up. And now I'm in my elementary school days. Or just prior. I actually missed the first day of kindergarten because I was sick. So that blew. I never actually got to experience the first day of school. But we probably just ate SpaghettiOs or something, so I guess I didn't miss much. Other than that, the bulk of my elementary school days consisted of me and my friends, Rachel and John. Man, these are my dudes, and we were the recess crew, man. So every day at recess, we'd hunt ghosts, and this wasn't your average ghost hunting though. You know, this was that type of ghost hunting where everybody freaked out when one of us pointed out steam coming out of the sewer grate. You know, I remember we used to stick twigs in the holes of trees as ghost traps, and one time we came back 5 minutes after putting one in a tree, and we came back to find that twig on the ground, and we nearly had prepubescent heart attacks. We freaked the hell out. You know, so that's pretty much what elementary school consisted of. Was hunting these ghosts with Rachel and John. Yeah, it was cool. And so the other thing that happened at that age was actually one of the biggest transitions in my life. I remember it started with my friend and I sitting in the living room, and he brought up the question. He was like, "Hey man, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?" And, you know, I usually said I'd like to fly, because I've always thought flying was pretty cool. But it's his answer that really hit me though. He said that he'd want to be able to live forever. And, you know, at first glance, that sounds reasonable. But for some reason, I overanalyzed it and realized how terrifying it would really be to live for an eternity without being able to stop it, you know? I don't know, for some reason, I just pictured myself floating through space after the world ended, being the only living person cursed to float for an eternity with nobody to talk to and nothing to do and, like, no way to end it. And so for some reason, I just dwelled on this horrifying thought of floating through space for a while before confronting my parents about it. And they gave me this face. You know, they thought it was stupid. They thought it was a stupid thing to be afraid of, and rightfully so, since they knew I was fully aware of the fact that living forever is impossible. But for some reason, that didn't convince my mind that it wasn't something worth worrying about. So I kept dwelling on it. And over time, I started getting these other irrational fears. You know, my mind started changing. It was really weird. I started scaring myself about things that your average 10-year-old shouldn't even consider. And I worried myself about things like waking up in a locked box where I'd have no choice but to suffocate or starve or something. Someone crawling into my room at night. And then the usual living forever thing. There were a few other various scary thoughts that I can't even fathom at this point. I can't even remember, but after an unhealthy number of reactions like this, my parents started realizing that it wasn't just me being stupid. Imagine that. So they finally took me to a doctor, and at the doctor I was diagnosed with OCD, and that's obsessive compulsive disorder. OCD can affect different people in a lot of different ways, but in my case it caused me to obsess over everything to the point where it started interfering with my everyday life. It just made me think irrationally a lot of the time. I mean, I remember one day I was literally scared that one of my nostrils was going to relocate itself somewhere else on my face. And that sounds like the dumbest thing in the world, but I remember running into my mom's room and telling her about that. And she gave me this face, you know? Because that's so stupid, but I don't know. For some reason in my head it seemed like something worth worrying about. And that's just, it makes you think irrationally. I can't, like if it's a chemical imbalance, so if you don't have that imbalance, you can't understand why it makes sense. But when you do have that imbalance, for some reason it does make sense. I don't know, it's really weird, but Long story short, I was diagnosed with OCD. My parents finally understood why I was acting the way I was, and I continued having these miserable, unavoidable thoughts since the doctor didn't want to just throw around treatment willy-nilly at first. And shortly after this happened, my parents decided to move to North Carolina. So I had to say goodbye to all my friends. That was really sad, but on the bright side, it did act as a distraction for my OCD. So my symptoms kind of died down a little bit for a while. And so I moved to North Carolina, and I lived in this little rental log house with my best friend Cody for a while. Oh yeah, I guess my parents were there too. But so adjusting to North Carolina was a little weird. The people were definitely different, not in a bad way though. Most people were actually a whole lot nicer. Life was good for a while until eventually the new environment shield wore off and my OCD started getting hungry again. This time I actually started developing new symptoms in addition to those irrational fears that I had. I started facing all these new compulsions, which in terms of OCD, compulsions are basically these unwavering urges to do things that normally wouldn't make any sense. So, for example, one thing that I would do is I would walk in and out of doorways several times until I felt comfortable when I entered a room. The way it worked in my head is that I would have to have a happy thought in my head the instant I stepped foot into the room, or else something bad would happen. So if I walked into the room with a bad thought in my head, I had to step back out and try again. You think it'd be easy, right? Just think good thoughts, you dummy. Well, the mind is a pretty trolly thing, especially when you've got OCD. So I'd be thinking good thoughts right before walking through the door, and then bam! Here's an image of a dead puppy. So I'd step in, and then back out. Then in, then back out. In, out, until my mind finally stopped trolling me and cooperated. It's fun stuff, you know? And I actually developed a pretty bad relationship with doors after that. I hate them now. They were literally my worst enemies for a few years. So now, at that point, I'm scared to death of stuff that'll never happen, and I'm wasting half my life walking in and out of these doorways. Safe to say, existence was pretty shitty at that time, so my parents took me to the doctor again, and I ended up getting set up with this cool-ass psychiatrist, right? And, meeting this guy was one of the best decisions in the history of mankind, You take the moon landing, forget about it. You take George Washington chopping down an apple tree or something like that, cherry tree maybe, I don't know. It never happened, I realize that, but forget it. Abraham Lincoln, forget it. His top hat, forget it. I mean, this guy's the man, He was funny. He listened to what I had to say without looking at me like I'm an idiot, and he gave me these guys to swallow once a day that actually almost made me feel normal. So that was nice. And so things started getting better after that. Let's see, what's next? Okay, so middle school sucked. High school was pretty cool. High school was a home for a lot of firsts for me. The first time actually having self-confidence in a while. I got rid of my braces and got contacts instead of glasses. That really boosted my self-confidence, not to mention that my hair wasn't freakishly long anymore. So yeah, I was feeling better about myself. First real relationship. I had a couple girlfriends in high school. And finally, I met Kara, who I'm still dating and have been dating for a couple years now. And she's really cool, man. She likes Minecraft and stuff, which is actually surprisingly important in a relationship. So if you're in a relationship and your partner doesn't like Minecraft, forget about it. Just move on. First time playing on a school sports team. I played soccer for my first 3 years of high school. I wasn't really a huge fan of soccer actually, but my friends liked it, so I thought I'd join the team with them. I actually really enjoyed it though. Oh, then why didn't you play all 4 years? Shut up! First time posting a video on my channel, along with first time making my own money from that channel. And then I gotta tell you, that was so cool. Definitely one of the defining moments of my childhood, or teenagerhood, or whatever. I remember checking AdSense and being so overwhelmed by the fact that I was actually making money, and I was even excited to do taxes. I did them with my dad, and the whole time I'm acting like a jerk, like I was making as much money as he was, But my parents were pretty impressed, and along with the rest of my family, it was really cool. I mean, I was like the little entrepreneur. First job. I worked at this Ben & Jerry's type of place, those places with the skee ball machines and go-karts and ski machines and those ball carts. I didn't really like it, man. It kind of sucked. I had to work these 12-hour shifts sometimes, and not to mention that all the employees that worked there were technically in the entertainment business, so the place could actually get away with giving us like one 15-minute break. And by the time you walked from your post to the break room, you had time to take like one bite out of your peanut butter and jelly sandwich before you had to pack it back up and sprint back to your post. It was awful. That's when I decided I'm gonna stick with YouTube for a while. First prom, actually went to 2 proms, both of them with Kara. I went to one prom my junior year and one my senior year. They were both pretty fun. I think my senior year prom was a little more fun though, since a whole lot more of my friends actually went to that one. But yeah, prom's cool. You know, prom tips, drink the punch. It's probably good. If it's not, then just dance until you're so thirsty that you couldn't care less how it tastes. Anyways, I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff, some first times, but whatever. I graduated after my 4 years. I had this big light blue hat and robe. I think I looked dumb, but so did everyone else, so that's alright. I actually gave a speech at my graduation for being salutatorian, which is second place in your class, but you know what they say, it's first place or last place, so I guess I was in last place in high school. So I gave a speech. After I finished the speech, one of my teachers said that I nailed it like an oiled hog. I still have no idea what he meant, but I hope that means I did good or something. The next major step in my life was college, and I decided that I wanted to major in graphic design a few years ago. When I bought my first drawing tablet to draw thumbnails for my videos, I totally fell in love with that stuff, and that brings me to my next point. YouTube really has shaped my entire life. It really is insane how much influence this channel has had on me. I mean, it's basically paving the way for the rest of my career choices, and that's incredible. So I applied to NC State University's College of Design and ended up getting in. And so that's where I'm living now, NC State. And I gotta tell you, college has gotta be one of the coolest things ever. I mean, I live in the Arts Village with a bunch of my boys, and it's like a huge sleepover every night, you know? You got your pillow fights, you got your spin the bottle, you got your... no, that part was a joke, but it really is like a sleepover. You know, everyone around you kind of becomes your family. Let's see, we got my boy Marcus, my dude Dylan, my main man Ethan, my homie Mauricio, who's also my roommate. We got my brother Chad, no relation, my guy Andrew, my compadre Banny, my buddy Buddy, and my dog Ryan, who's actually a human. And we're just living life over at NC State right now, and things are looking really good. You know, the future's looking pretty damn sweet, and I'm taking each and every one of you guys with me. You know, thank you guys so much for sticking around and putting up with my stupid humor and all that. I mean, 25,000 subscribers is ridiculous. I never thought I'd reach that number. But thank you so much, guys, for sticking around. Like I said before, YouTube really has changed my life, for the better, of course. And it's all thanks to you. And 25,000, right? That's crazy. And in celebration of such a monumentous occasion, I've got a surprise. Hey Johnny, let me get that drum roll. The surprise is... The surprise is... The surprise is... I'm launching a new campaign called The Flock. It's starting right now. Each and every one of you guys, all 25,000 and counting, are all officially honorary members of The Flock. Or flockers, if you will. You guys have done so much for me, and I just think it's about time we established a sense of community and family around here. I mean, a flock's gotta stick together, right? 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 So, as a community, I think it'd be really cool if we started getting some interaction. So, I'll get the ball rolling with some small talk. In the comment section below, let's talk about our defining childhood game. You know, everybody's got that one game that pretty much sums up their entire childhood. So, get squawking, boys. Alright guys, thanks for sticking around and helping me get to 25,000 subscribers. And here's to 25,000 more. Salutations, flock. I'll catch you around the nest.